Munif Salza, and today I'm going to be eating French toast while I answer your questions. So, I made a post on the Sub2 page about, if you're new, you're not really sure how to get started here in real estate. You're not really sure where, your superpowers are, what they are, and how to really proceed and move forward in this business. This stream is for you. There are no stupid questions. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and spend the next 15 seconds making a post on Instagram so people know we're doing this. So, while I do this, I highly encourage you to also make a post. So, I'm going to take a little photo. We're gonna cheese for the camera, cheese, and real estate Q&A, all questions welcome. And I'm gonna put the stream link. So it's www.twitch.tv/the_takeaway. Join stream. Boom. Boom and boom. Cool. What is up, everybody? Cody Thompson. What's up, Cody? Puny Panda. I love that name. What up, Puny Panda? What's going on? We got Cody Thompson and Puny Panda in the house. That's awesome. So I hope you guys brought some amazing questions for me. I'm super excited to answer your questions. We've got a couple people. We've got almost 10 people here in the live so far. So I want, as I eat this piece of French toast, I want you to think about what kind of questions you have. Cody has an amazing question. Have a limited marketing budget. What are your 3 top favorite lists to pull and marketing strategies? So those are amazing questions. The more money I have, the broader I go. The less money I have, the narrower I go. Because you really want to maximize your return on investment when you're limited on budget. So if I have $1,000 to spend, I'm going to be pulling really, really niche data, and I'm going to be treating each lead very, very carefully. But if, let's say, I have $10,000 to spend, I can be a little bit broader with my data. So if you're really limited on budget, you can be really niche with your data. For example, you can pull pre-foreclosure data. That's always a classic list. Pre-foreclosure list is classic. I recommend for pre-foreclosures, set physical appointments. It's, there are a ton of people calling pre-foreclosures. So if you can actually go and meet the seller face to face and establish that level of trust, it's going to improve your odds for success. Another list is tax lien list. That's a pretty good niche list. You can filter by tax liens on batch. I know you can do that. Another list we like, this is kind of niche. This is pretty niche for creative finance, but you can pull a low equity list if you have low equity. And there's different ways to also tack on motivation. So you can do like low equity and pre-foreclosure, things like that. And the low equity is kind of like a distress factor because they can't really sell it without coming out of pocket. And then the pre-foreclosure is like a motivation factor. So there's some timing to that. But we pull low equity. We also pull. There's also you can actually find active listings on the market and call realtors who have had their listings up, for 90 days, 60 days, things like that. So those sellers generally tend to have some strong levels of motivation. What up, Michael? And Jake, what is good? Venturing into agent outreach. Do you have experience with those? Yeah. What do you want to know about agent outreach? Gregory Davis Jr., brand new to the community. Holy cow, that's amazing. What do you when did you join the sub 2 community, Gregory? And how are you liking it so far? Gregory's got a question. After I get a contract with the seller and take it to the title company, do I sign a contract with a buyer and take it to title also? Yes. I'm brand new and haven't seen it done, so I don't know. So that's a really good question. I actually covered this on the Daily Dial in the sub 2 community. We do a daily dial. I lead the East Coast daily dial on Thursdays. So every Thursday morning at 5 a.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. East time, I role play and do sales training and general Q&A for 2 hours every single week for the sub 2 community. And this past Thursday, we had one of our students, Jasper, who actually sent a contract. Actually, no, he got a verbal agreement. So he got a verbal agreement with the seller, but he never sent a contract out because he was a little confused with the paperwork part. And I actually shared my screen. I opened up DocuSign and I walked him through exactly what he needed to do next. So I'm always happy to do that for you guys on the daily dials on Thursday mornings at 5 a.m. Pacific time. Caroline has the daily dial links. I'm up every Thursday morning for the East Coast. And what we did is we showed everybody. I screen shared and I showed everybody my contracts and how I literally, me and my sales team, we've made our contracts so easy. You can fill a contract out in 10 minutes. There's no reason you should be waiting 2 days to send a contract to a seller. So we filled out the contract live, and yeah, you fill it out. You have the seller sign it. You sign it. Technically, you should sign it first, but um, it doesn't matter. Really, it really doesn't matter. But you both sign it, and then you submit it to the title company, and then you also send EMD, so earnest money deposit. You send that. So I usually do $100 earnest money, but you can do $10, you can do $5,000. It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to send to title, but you need to at least send $10 to title. So if you're strapped for cash, make the earnest money amount on your contract at least $10. You need to have that in there because that's what makes it a legally binding contract. You having put money into the deal that where you both agreed to move forward with it, you need to have at least $10 worth of money into the deal so you can actually say, hey, I have equitable interest in this property. You can't sell this property to anybody else besides me because I put money into it and it's all everyone sees the money and the title company actually printed out a receipt that they have received the money. So you've got a third party title company that's telling everybody, yeah, Gregory's put money into the deal, so he's interested in buying this. If you don't put the money in and say the seller backs out and you want to go after the seller for non-performance, it's very difficult to do it without putting that earnest money in because they can say, well, you didn't really put any money into the deal, so you weren't really serious, yada yada yada. Puny Panda. But yeah, oh yeah, by the way, Gregory, hold on, let me answer Gregory's second question. After you put earnest money, go find your buyer, go market the property. You can market the properties all you want if you use the appropriate contracts, of course. Find your buyer, make the buyer sign the assignment fee. It's a separate document. It's called an assignment agreement. Make the buyer sign an assignment agreement, and then you ask them to put their own earnest money into the deal. And until they put their own earnest money into the deal, um, you know, you haven't assigned the deal yet. But once you have them sign the paperwork, send it to title. I charge my buyers anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 earnest money, and they send that in. And I give them like maybe a 3-day inspection window so they can go see the property themselves. And if they like it, they'll continue. And if they don't like it, they can actually get their money back refundable. But after that inspection window ends, and let's say they don't perform, or let's say they don't buy the house, and I get to actually keep that earnest money. So that's always a little bit of a security for us. Puny Panda, having a hard time getting through to some agents on terms. Wondering what if it's best to just send the LOI. with a low anchoring terms and see if they're open to negotiations, or push to see if they're allowed to talk to the seller directly. Most agents won't let you talk to the sellers directly, so that strategy is not going to work. I teach how to talk to agents on my sales trainings on Thursday mornings in the Daily Dial. So I've covered this topic like a ton, but you basically have to figure out how you can bring value to the agent and how you can really help them solve this deal. So the conversation is about, hey, I might be able to help you get this off your books. Make sure you get paid a commission. And I buy houses like this, cash or creative. So there's multiple ways for me to buy a house, but it really depends on how motivated the seller is to sell this house. If they're super motivated, I can make them a cash offer, cash them out. It won't be this high, but I might be able to make them an offer that's at this price range, but we would have to do something creative. What do you think about that? That's the heart of the conversation to have with agents. But you really have to pitch it or frame it in a way where it's really about them and them getting their commission and getting it off their books, because they don't make any money if the house doesn't sell. What's up, Heather? My mom's watching this on Facebook Live. Hi, Mom. I'm eating the French toast that you made me before you left. My mom came to visit me in Love here in Phoenix, Arizona. She made me a ton of food. And she made this French toast, and I have to learn how she made it because they're delicious. She's in the airport now. I think she's in Denver. Cody Thompson, do you do any arbitrage? Yeah, I've got three units on Airbnb arbitrage, and two of them are online right now. The third one, we're getting it online. Any questions? I'm happy to sit here for the next 30 minutes, answer your guys' questions. I'll even pull any of you on stream if you want, but to answer something on more in depth. But it's up to you guys. Ooh, Jake Dill. What's up, Jake? Ooh, nice. This is cool. Jake, I want to bring you on the stream. Click the link in the comments. Jump on stream. Jake says, I've got a pre-foreclosure lead. ARV, which is after repair value, is $315,000. $44,000 in arrears. The rehab is $15,000, and the seller's got about 50% equity. Would this be a good subject to deal or better cash? If so, can you talk about how you like to pitch subject to? Yeah, for sure. Heather says, do you always file a memorandum with title? Yes, I do. Always. We're going to wait for Jake to jump on here. Any more questions? Oh, look who we got.
Can you hear me?
Yo, what's up, Jake?
Yo, what's up, Manif?
How are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Can you hear me all right?
I hear you loud and clear. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about this lead.
Yes. So I've been talking to her for about 2 weeks now. The auction as much as possible, but she's when I first talked to her, just because I had some extra time on my hands, and then selling in a few weeks, and so I just kept following up with her, and I kind of knew it wasn't gonna. I've just been trying to build good rapport with her, and so I mean she's probably not gonna be able to stay there because her loan mod got denied. But now I'm start pressing in that like how like I can solve her problem and be the best, because I mean just because of the arrears, and we could pay her more money. But yeah, I was just wanting to know like how do you approach it best?
So this is hard. This is super hard because her loan mod got denied.
It's pretty deep story. I'm trying to keep it concise.
You're trying to not get into all the business. I got it. But
yeah,
but that's,
I mean, basically,
right? Because our goal is to, if we take it creative, we want to get the arrears put on the back of the loan and do a loan modification. But it's really hard to do that if the loan modification already got denied.
So the reason it got denied was because apparently it has mold in there, and she doesn't want to get the mold removed and that removed, and then she gets foreclosed on.
Okay. That's a difference. That's different. So you can take some risk here. You can get under contract. You can do the mold remediation. You can go for the loan mod, see if it goes through, and then you can close on a subject too. Have I taken risks like this before? Yes. Would I take a risk like this necessarily if I was new? Maybe. Depends. Maybe I would get a partner in that market who was down to take that risk. Where's the house located? What market is this house in?
This is in North Augusta, South Carolina, so like right outside Augusta, Georgia.
What are you doing in that market?
You said you're in that market?
No. What are you doing? What's specifically nice about that market?
Well, I just kind of pulled up some pre-foreclosure list. Like, I really didn't know what I was doing, and just some hot areas of South Carolina.
Got it. Okay, so is that a hot area?
I mean, depending on, it's pretty growing. I mean, it's got some good growth going on.
Okay. I asked that because I like to be in markets where I know buyers are going to want to buy. And so if you do all this work and then you get a deal and then no one really wants to buy there, it's going to be difficult. So that's something I always want to talk about. Like, where are you, with your marketing? But let's pretend it's a great market and all of that stuff. It might be. I don't know. I don't know anything about that market. But let's assume it's an amazing market. What I would do is I find somebody who's local and see, hey, what do you think? I'd find a local sub 2 buyer there and say, would you partner with me? Would you want to take this down together? I would just need a little bit of finder's fee, but I don't really have the money to front to get rid of the mold and do the mold remediation and then start the loan mod process. What I would probably do, depends. If she has 50% equity, see if she'll take cash first. You might be able to just do cash. It seems like the cash price for this, the rehab is $15K. I don't know if the rehab is actually $15K. Jake, the rehabs are usually like $40, $50K for like, doing a flip. So, somebody who buy this cash might buy a $315,000 house, all fixed up. They might buy it for like 140, 150, something like those numbers. They usually like to buy deals at. What's her loan amount?
How much she has remaining on the debt?
Yeah.
50,000.
She has 50,000 on the debt.
150,000.
Oh, 150. Sorry, it's a little choppy. So she owes about 150. So she might. This is a tough one because if she do cash, she might just walk away, maybe with 5 or 10,000 in her pocket, maybe. If you do creative, you might be able to buy it closer to like 250, and she might be able to get 100,000 down the road. So it really depends on how much money they need now. Cash, you might get 5, 10, 15,000 now, and she's done. For creative, I would say you don't really get anything now. I'll make you monthly payments of like maybe a few $100, and then in 10 years I'll refinance and get you out all your equity. But we need to spend a lot of money on the front end on the loan mod, and then I would find somebody who's buying deals in that area and see if they'd want to go down the rabbit hole of loan mod. And then for the person to do the loan mod, I'd ask Angie Tanisha, or I'd ask Kiki Shrugs, and they're both in the sub 2 community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So another thing she said about the loan mod getting a nut, she said she could fix the problem of her not like living there. She's paying like to live in an apartment right now, which is double her monthly payment. Her PITI is like $800, but she's paying like $1,500 to live in an apartment. So that's another. But she said the main reason her loan mod got denied, and I didn't know if there was any, because she has an interest rate already so low. She said it's like points or interest rate through NACA, which I don't know a whole lot about, but I don't know if you.
I don't know. I'm not an expert on foreclosures. I don't pretend to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Kiki Shrugs, Tanisha, as well as Angie Acosta. So I would talk to somebody who specializes in it. I usually hire Angie or Kiki, and I'm like, hey, here's I pay them up front, and they just talk to the seller. They handle everything, and
okay,
that's
yeah. I probably should reach out to one of them. I've talked to he knows a good bit about him too.
Who?
John Carlo.
Oh yeah. Yeah, talk to them. But I wouldn't do it unless I knew there was a buyer ready to buy this, because you're gonna have to spend maybe like 10,000 or 15,000 before you even close on the property.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, well,
yeah, those numbers.
Gotcha. Well, I'll reach out to some, try and get a better understanding of the loan mods and if she could get that approved or not.
Cool. All right, cool. Thank you, Jake. It was fun talking to you.
Yep. Appreciate you doing this.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Cool. Super dope. What are the details of a deal you would arbitrage for, occupancy rate, etc.? I look at monthly gross income of like comparable properties. I use AirDNA to figure out how much that bedroom count property is bringing in a month on average. If it's pretty good, I usually go for it. For an arbitrage, I don't really go after arbitrage deals. They fall on my lap, and if they fall on my lap, if the numbers make sense, I'll spend the money, because you have to spend a ton of money furnishing and decorating and doing like minor cosmetics around the house, and you need to let the Airbnb get up and rolling, and there's a lot of human resources that go into setting up an Airbnb, and you do all this work and you don't even own the house, so the cash flow needs to justify it. So I don't really go after arbitrage deals, but if there is one that falls in my lap, which there were, I will go for them. Cool. Any more questions? This is dope. This is the best way to spend a Friday afternoon. I got this new PlayStation 5 game. Actually, I don't think it's a new game. It's new for me because I haven't played it. It's called Ghost of Tsushima. It's about samurais, and I love samurais and ninjas. So you can see the samurai sword right there behind me, and ninja acquisitions. So I freaking love samurais and ninjas, and you get to play as both in this game. You're a samurai who learns the art of ninja or ninjutsu. It's super dope. So if you guys don't have any more questions, I am more than happy to get out of here and play my samurai game. Oh, David's got a question. And so does Heather. Heather says, are you and Noah interested in short-term rentals in Nashville? Sure. Yeah, you can show us what you got. Hey, Manif, this is David. I work Dispo for Will Ayarza's team. That's awesome. I love Will Ayarza. We are redirecting our PPC leads to target more specific areas. Any suggestions on best way to find buyers or areas we should focus on? Yeah, I mean, you should be able to use PropStream to look at buyer activity, and if you see where buyers are actively still buying in the past 8 weeks, and you just want to see it, like large transaction counts. If you can find where there's large transactions going, that's where I would focus. That's really like my favorite way to figure out the pulse of the market is like who's buying, not necessarily who's selling. If there's a lot of people selling, that's cool, but who's actually buying deals there, and that's my roadmap or my compass for what markets I want to be in. I'm still waiting to play Elden Ring, but I haven't picked up a controller in over a year. I feel you, man. I actually, I'm like halfway through Elden Ring. That's a dope game, but I stopped playing it and I haven't picked it up in like 6 months. Can you explain more how arrears work and how you're able to amend work around them for both creative and cash deals investment? Yeah, Jordan. So arrears are just the back payments of a loan plus like fees and stuff or penalties. And for cash deals, it's easy. You just, as long as you have enough money to pay the bank, you can just make a cash offer. And as long as, the seller gets to keep whatever your cash offer is minus whatever the bank is owed, that difference is what the seller keeps. So cash is really easy for arrears. For creative deals, what we do is we get something called a loan modification. And that's a lengthy process to ask the bank on behalf of the seller to take the arrears, the back payments, and put it on the back of the loan in something called a silent second. And what that is it's a second loan that the seller doesn't have to make any payments on, doesn't have to worry about until they either refinance the house or sell the house or pay off the original loan. That's when that second loan will be due, and it's all the back payments that they didn't make. Now, the challenge is when you do that, a lot of the times the payments on the original loan will go up because it's kind of like a refinance and the interest rates are higher. So you end up paying more every month. So that's a challenge. Yeah, Jordan Mendez, month into sub 2. That's dope. Sub 2 is freaking amazing. Welcome to the best community in the whole wide world, Jordan. Lloyd says, how many VAs do you have now, and what's your number one lead source? So we fluctuate between 3 to 7 virtual assistants, usually a revolving door. We have 3 really strong, amazing virtual assistants. We don't call them virtual assistants. We call them agents. There are like our crew. And then, we'll add like anywhere between, 0 to 4, depending on when we want to generate more leads. Right now, we have a ton of leads in our system, like a ton. So we are just on our core team for our agents. And my number one lead source is cold calling. Number one lead source. Great questions. Awesome. Any more questions, guys? All right. Seems like there are no more questions. So I'm glad we did this. I'm glad we had fun. I hope you learned something. I hope we were able to answer some of your questions. And Jordan's got a question. Cool. Jordan says, would the buyer pay for arrears in a cash deal? Or does the seller pay for them? No. So the buyer makes an offer, and that offer needs to be greater than everything that's owed. And if it's not, that money has to come out of the seller's pocket. Hope that makes sense. So if you owe your bank $10 and I offer you $15, you keep 5 and the bank gets 10. And yes, the arrears are owed to the bank, so they're considered under that $10 you owe to the bank. It's simple. Michael says, for someone just starting out, what would you recommend as their first few steps for starting out? If it's to learn, what specific items would you recommend they learn first? Thank you. Michael, are you in sub 2? If you are, you've got to watch the avatar zooms. Start with the first avatar training. Watch them. Watch all the avatar zooms. Pace literally walks you through the different kinds of avatars in real estate. And it's really based on personality types and interests and what really fuels you as a human. He breaks everyone down into avatars, and then he helps people identify with what their avatar is. And when you really know what your avatar is, it's going to help guide you on who to partner with, what kind of business you should be doing, and where to really focus your efforts on. Heather says, learn by taking action. Jordan says, that makes a lot of sense. And Michael says, yes, awesome. So you are in sub 2. Can you explain more of how percentage of ARV works? I don't understand your question. ARV is what you can sell a house for at the most once you fix something up. So if I'm 50% of ARV, then I might offer a seller half of the most I could ever hope to make on the home after I spend maybe tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars fixing it. So just ARV is a useful term to think about. It's the most you can sell a house for. So anything less than that is a percentage of ARV. So to your example, Jordan, if somebody buys a house at 70% of ARV, they're paying 7/10 of the most you could sell the house for. If you were starting out, what direction would you take? I would take the same direction I did, actually, which is I role played every day on the daily dial because my avatar was the closer. So I'd do everything the same. I don't regret anything I did. I did everything exactly how I did it, and I'm very happy with the choices I made. And I can't tell you what avatar you are or what you should do because everyone's different. I love talking to sellers and I love talking to people. My wife was on the phone with somebody and she was explaining creative finance, and I was like itching to take the phone from her and talk to the person myself to talk about creative finance. And that's not everybody. So if you've got to figure out what your personality is, and I really recommend watching the avatar zoom so you totally understand which category you might want to fit in. Do you still close for your team? Yeah, if they really, really want me to, but I usually encourage them to do it themselves. But like the last 2 transactions, so out of the last 3 transactions, 2 of them I got on the phone with my closer seller just to push it through. But yeah, my guys can close by themselves. They're really good. Watch the avatar zooms. They're super helpful. Yes, Heather, they are super, super duper helpful. What ROI do you look for when looking at the entry fee versus the cash flow of a creative deal? Good question. So you're asking really about cash on cash returns. So how much money? I don't really get out of bed for anything under 20%. I really like 30% or more, but that's I'm a little aggressive with the numbers I want because I have to be because I don't do the volume. When you don't do high volume, you need to make all the money you can make. So I'm looking for higher cash on cash returns. But yeah, so I don't get out of bed for anything under 20%, but I really want 30% or more. What's your closing ratio? My closing ratio is, that's a good question. I don't know. Good enough. Jordan says, so if the most ARV someone could get is 450K and the buyer buys it for 70%, would that final purchase price come out to three? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. That math is right. Nice. Your team is amazing. They mirror your style. How often do you add to your team? Maybe once a quarter or twice a year. I'll do hirings. 20% ROI year over year, correct? For example, yeah, return on investment is always done annualized. I never look at like, I'm not going to go, oh, I made 100,000 in 5 years. So let's say I put 100,000 into a deal and I get 100,000 back in 5 years. I'm not going to say I had 100% return on my investment. I'm going to divide it by 5. It's a 20% return on investment. So you put 100,000 in, and you're making, 20,000 a year, for 5 years, you'll get your money back, but it's actually 20% return on investment. So I always annualize my return on investment calculations. Thank you so much for your patience and answering all the questions. It genuinely does mean a lot and helps me out. Yeah, for sure. Anytime. For your arbitrage, do you only list on Airbnb or do you do corporate rental, Furnish Finder? I do both, but Airbnb has been working out a little bit better for us, so we're solely doing that right now. What would you tell an 18-year-old who wants to start investing in real estate? I'd say don't spend your money on like marketing or anything like that. Like you need to spend a ton of time on your education, your real estate education. So I would spend every penny I could investing in my education and my resources. So education is like courses, videos, things like that, and seminars. Resources is network. So if you have to pay to fly to a networking event to meet people, and where you can meet Pace or you can meet like really amazing leaders in the Sub 2 community, do it. Build those relationships, because it's those relationships that will end up uh, making you money. Because I have relationships, I have more exit strategies, because it's, say there's a deal that, for example, let me give you an example. There's a deal right now I'm looking at. Somebody sent it to me and I didn't really know what to do with it, but I knew somebody in that area that does a lot of deals. So I called them and I asked them if they wanted to partner with me on it. They looked at the deal and they loved the deal, and they said, go close on the deal. Tell the wholesaler you're going to buy it, and let's partner on it, because I know how to make a lot of money with this deal. It's an amazing deal. If I was left to my own devices, I would have just passed on it. But now my partners are going to front the money, so I'm not any money out of pocket, and they're going to actually take they're going to show me how they can make money with the deal. New to Sub 2, what's the best way to reach out and connect with other students? Go to the Zooms and connect with each other in the chats. So like right now, a lot of you guys are new and you're like, how do I network? Where should I go? Where should I meet people? It's like right now in the chats, you can actually meet people. So like Cody Thompson, you should probably talk to Brandon and just introduce yourself and talk to each other and be active. Heather says, Cody, DM other Sub 2 students in your market and attend the accountability meetings for your markets. That's a really good, really good answer, Heather. One more thing. Is there a certain percentage of ARV that is most ideal, or does it just depend on the market you're in? Jordan, I'm going to ask you, what do you think the answer is? Is there a certain percent of ARV that's ideal across the board, or does it depend on the market you're in? What do you think? I'm going to ask you this question. I will wait. Think about it. While we wait for Jordan, Paul Gem says, Manif, you're light paced, you're a go-giver, so knowledgeable and patient. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. 100% probably. No, you're overthinking this. If you're talking about the most ideal percentage. No, you're overthinking it. This is the answer. Brandon has it. Market and what the buyers are willing to pay. That's exactly. It depends on the market and what the buyers are willing to pay. Some markets, in rural markets, you have to get stuff at 30% of ARV, 35% of ARV. And buyers buy it at 40 to 45% of ARV in some really rural areas. And in some very, 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 very competitive markets where everyone's making really slim margins, but they know they can sell the houses. They're buying at 87%, 90% of ARV. It all depends on the market. There are some markets I can buy. Look, Faisal's here. There are some markets Faisal buys houses and sells to hedge funds at 110% ARV. So he's able to make offers at 100% ARV in some markets or 95% ARV in some markets. So it is exactly this. This is the right answer. It's the market, what the buyers are willing to pay. And that's why I answered the question earlier using, hey, find the markets where there are a ton of buyers buying because you've got competition. The buyers are competing amongst themselves in those markets. So when you have a deal, it's really easy to sell those. How do you sell to a hedge fund? That's a great question. And I think Spies has spent the better part of 2 years answering this question. So he says, know your buyers, people. Yes, know exactly who your buyers are and what they're looking for. So Fies and I did a Zoom like a year ago on how to sell to hedge funds. He has like a really deep relationships with hedge funds. Excellent. All right, guys. We've been doing Q&A for a little while. I'm going to go play, what's that game called? Ghost of Tsushima on the PlayStation 5. So I'm going to spend the next hour while I wait for my wife to finish up some work, and then we're going to go hang out. So I enjoyed spending this time with you. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. And enjoy an amazing weekend. Thank you so much, Heather. You are so awesome. All right. Take care, guys. Have a good day.